Imagine living in an era where every step you took was tied to the destiny of a vast empire. In Rome, everything unfolded on a grand scale: battles, conquests, political intrigues, and unlikely alliances. It was a society in constant transformation, where the emergence of new expressions and ideas reflected the challenges and values of that extraordinary civilization. In this video, we'll dive into the history of 10 expressions that have withstood the test of time, coming straight from a Rome full of intrigues and glories. Throughout this script, you'll discover how each phrase came to life, how it connects with the great figures of the era, and why it still remains part of our vocabulary today. Get ready to travel back in time and uncover secrets and curiosities that will amaze you. But before we dive into these incredible stories, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and hit the notification bell. This way, you won't miss any of our videos packed with historical curiosities about ancient Rome. Have you ever wondered how Rome became such a vast empire, dominating so many different peoples? There is one strategy that explains it all. Let's find out what it is in our first topic. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is an expression that carries the essence of what made Rome so powerful. According to historical accounts, Roman generals, especially leaders like Julius Caesar, took advantage of existing rivalries among different peoples to keep them busy fighting amongst themselves. While their tribes and small cities were engaged in local disputes, the Roman army stepped in as a mediator or protector, but, in practice, consolidated control over everyone. The tactic involved offering privileges to one group while denying those same benefits to another, sparking jealousy and fueling discord. Over time, each people grew distrustful of the other, and no one could effectively unite against Roman power. It was a brilliant yet cruel method based on manipulating discord, and Julius Caesar, ambitious and a natural strategist, mastered this art with exquisite finesse, always accompanied by advisors who strengthened his position before the Senate. Today, divide and conquer is used not only in politics, but in various situations where a group or individual stays on top by fragmenting the unity of others. It's that old tactic: when everyone fights amongst themselves, the one in charge remains unchallenged. It serves as a historical reminder of how vanity and discord can be easily exploited. Have you ever wondered how this strategy influenced not only ancient Rome, but also many situations in modern politics? If you find this topic important, hit the like button now so we can continue bringing you such impactful stories. We've talked about the tactic of manipulating conflicts, but Rome also depended on cooperation among its citizens and strategic alliances. Let's understand how this need led to an expression that still captures the spirit of partnership today. One hand washes the other. In ancient Rome, generals and politicians knew that it wasn't enough to just create discord. It was essential to join forces when it truly mattered. Pliny the Elder recorded the Latin expression manus manum levat, a symbolic reference to the idea that no one can achieve great things alone. This practical sense was evident, for example, in the so-called patronage system. A wealthy and influential citizen, the patron, offered protection and favors to poorer individuals, the clients, who in return provided him with political support and loyalty. It was, quite literally, a circle of reciprocal benefits. Marcus Licinius Crassus was a master at cultivating such relationships, using his wealth to maintain a loyal base that supported him in his military ventures and in the Senate. Today, when someone says, "one hand washes the other," it evokes that very spirit of cooperation. The expression reminds us that reciprocity can be far more powerful than conflict, and that in the end, we need one another to overcome challenges, whether in politics, at work, or in personal life. What if, amidst these agreements and alliances, a deadlock were to occur, a moment when no one can decide the future? Well, our next topic speaks of a goddess who, according to legend, had the power to break even the most critical impasses. Minerva's decisive vote. In the mythological realm, Minerva, also known as Athena by the Greeks, was the goddess of wisdom and the strategy of war. Her serene yet imposing image inspired confidence, and the Romans believed that she could illuminate any debate by bringing forth a fair solution. In the legend recounted by the playwright Aeschylus, Minerva intervenes in a tied trial and casts the crucial, decisive vote. The story of Orestes, accused of killing his own mother, led to a clear division. Half of the council was in favor of punishment, while the other half called for acquittal. Minerva, representing unquestionable wisdom, cast her vote in favor of Orestes, ending the debate. This gesture became known as Minerva's vote. Even today, in meetings and assemblies, when we need that decisive vote to break a deadlock, we say that the person has delivered the Minerva vote. It's proof of how mythology seamlessly blends with reality in the most surprising ways. Did you already know this intriguing detail about Orestes' trial? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts about this story. We've discussed rapid and crucial decisions. But have you ever stopped to consider how long it took for Rome to become the grand empire it once was? Discover now why they say Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome was not built in a day. The building of Rome was a long process, filled with setbacks, rebuilds, and conquests. From the legendary founding of the city by Romulus and Remus, through the eras of kings, the Republic, and the Empire, Rome rose. Brick by brick, conquest by conquest, it took centuries for it to become the most influential metropolis of the ancient world. Figures like Julius Caesar, Pompey, and others were key to this growth, whether through territorial expansion or through reforms of political and social structures. Each one, with his own temperament, helped, or sometimes hindered, the city to transform into the pulsating heart of Western civilization. Today, when we say Rome wasn't built in a day, we are reminded that great works, plans, and transformations require time, patience, and continuous effort. It serves as a reminder that haste and anxiety are not always allies in long-term projects. The city grew so much that it became the main convergence point of the ancient world. And it is from this that the famous expression, "all roads lead to Rome," was born. All roads lead to Rome. At its peak, the Roman Empire built roads that connected virtually every conquered region to the capital. Each route was designed to facilitate the transport of troops, supplies, and information. The city of Rome became the great heart pumping life throughout the entire empire. It was an incredible logistical feat, with skilled engineers and abundant resources invested in bridges and paved roads. Thus, any traveler following these routes would eventually reach the same destination, the mighty capital. Hence, the idea emerged that no matter where you came from, in the end, the road would lead to Rome. Today, this expression takes on a figurative, meaning there are many ways to achieve the same goal. In other words, no matter which route you take, if your determination is strong, you will arrive where you desire. But all this grandeur came at a price. Keeping the people under control was a challenge. And it is in this context that the controversial practice of bread and circuses emerged. Bread and circuses. The poet Juvenal coined this expression in his satires. He criticized the way Rome's rulers kept the population entertained with spectacles and gladiators, while distributing wheat and other foods either subsidized or free of charge. In this way, the people remained distracted and satisfied, without questioning politics too deeply. It was easier to offer entertainment and food than to solve structural problems, such as corruption in the Senate or social inequality. Some historians Note that many Romans grew accustomed to this exchange, and as long as there was bread and entertainment, there were no major uprisings. Bread and circuses is still used today to describe situations where leaders, whether political or corporate, offer superficial benefits to avoid deeper criticism or inquiries. It's a strategy that reveals how effectively mass control can be achieved through immediate gratification. Yet there often comes a moment when you can no longer hide the truth behind distractions. And when that moment arrives, one must have the courage to take a decisive step. This is exactly what Julius Caesar did when he declared, "The die is cast." The die is cast. The expression alea jacta est, the die is cast, was proclaimed by Julius Caesar when he crossed the Rubicon River, breaking the law that forbade generals from bringing their troops into Italy. This act, considered a direct provocation to the Senate, triggered a civil war. It was a point of no return. Caesar knew that from that moment on, the destiny of both himself and Rome would change forever. It was an act of courage, but also a risky one. Pompey once, an ally, became his main enemy, and an internal battle for power began. Caesar's resolute temperament and his unwavering belief in victory ultimately transformed him into the central figure of the Republic. When we say the die is cast, we mean that an irreversible choice has been made, and now we must face the consequences, good or bad. It's an expression that represents both the courage and the recklessness of those who decide to risk it all. Did you ever imagine that a simple river crossing could change the course of history? If you find this episode fascinating, click like and help spread this historical knowledge. Bold decisions reshape the political landscape, yet sometimes all one wants is to keep things as they are. Let's better understand what status quo means. Status quo. The term status quo comes from the Latin phrase in statu quo ante, which meant in the state in which things were before. In peace treaties, the idea was to return exactly to the situation before a conflict, without any definitive gains or losses. In practice, this meant that after intense battles, the involved parties tried to restore the political and social environment that existed previously. For Rome, in many agreements, the goal was to maintain the capital's privileges intact and to force the enemy into a state of submission. Today, status quo is used to describe the resistance to change. It refers to when someone prefers to keep everything as it is, whether out of convenience, fear of risk, or simply to protect personal interests. Even when one wishes to keep everything the same, life in Rome was fast-paced and full of pressures. This pace often resulted in mistakes and impulsiveness, and from that emerged the maxim, haste makes waste, or more accurately, more haste, less speed. Hashte makes waste, more haste, less speed. This piece of wisdom has its roots in the Latin saying festina lente, attributed to Emperor Augustus, which means make haste slowly. Augustus, attentive to the smallest details of administration, believed it was essential to act quickly, but without neglecting careful planning. In the Roman context, many projects, from building roads to reorganizing the army, required not only speed, but also precision. Commanding an empire involved constant decisions that could not be made on impulse, as even a small miscalculation could be very costly. Today, we use haste makes waste to emphasize that acting too quickly tends to lead to mistakes. It's a reminder that calmness and careful analysis can also be allies in achieving success. We've talked about speeding up and making calculated decisions, but what happens when a simple misstep turns into a historical catastrophe? The next topic shows how pride can lead to a grave error. The grave error. Marcus Licinius Crassus, a man known for his immense wealth and thirst for power, committed one of the most infamous blunders in Roman history. By underestimating the Parthians at the Battle of Carrhae, Crassus led his army into a humiliating fiasco. His soldiers, unprepared for the enemy's mounted archery tactics, were massacred. Crassus failed to take into account crucial intelligence about the enemy's skill and did not devise an adequate strategy for the desert terrain. Believing himself invincible, he paid a very high price. Tens of thousands of Romans were killed or captured, and he himself lost his life in battle. The grave error became synonymous with a serious mistake resulting from arrogance or lack of preparation. It is an eternal lesson that no matter how rich or powerful someone is, recklessness can bring down even the mightiest of men. The history of Rome is a tangle of conquests, scandals, alliances, and betrayals. From these experiences, expressions were born that we still carry in our language centuries later. They survive as reminders of wisdom, warnings against pride, and lessons in coexistence. More than mere curiosities, these sayings show how the past lives within us and can shape our present. If you enjoyed this journey back in time and want more fascinating stories, subscribe to our channel now, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends who love curiosities about ancient Rome. And remember, throughout our history, some expressions can set us free, while others can bind us. The choice is yours. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.